before the Bears took the field against the Lions, there were already rumors that Matt Eberflus would have coached his last game today. Well, now that we've actually gotten on the other side of this in another egregious loss in a mind-boggling way, is this the straw that finally broke the camel's back? Let's talk about it. Listen, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy P Kid, Pettiest Man Alive, Winnie City Breeze. I need y'all to do me a favor because YouTube be playing this. I need you to do me a favor, give me a like. I need you to give me a share, subscribe, leave a review as Pat always tells y'all to do so we can continue to give you all this fire content. Let's talk about the fact that we just lost again, dog. Like, we just lost again in another egregious way. It's one thing to have gotten blown out by the Lions, which a lot of people thought we would. Let's be clear. The Lions are the one of, if not the best team in football right now. If they had moonwalked us to like a 60-10 win, like they did several other teams this year, we wouldn't be surprised. We have been that type of team, and unfortunately, they're just that much better. Heck, they literally controlled the time of possession and really dominated the game in the first half in such a way that we really didn't think we were going to be in this game. It also looked like the team in itself was not playing for Eberflus. If we're going to be clear, if you watched our live call, if you watched our watch party, you would have seen many of us say, yeah, this team looks checked out, dog. We're better than what we were putting on in this first half. But even with that, many of us had the Lions winning in some way, shape, or form by a large margin. Yet that's not what happened. What ended up happening is you put yourself in a position, which, great, your players fought back, and we were in a situation where we could either tie or win the game, to the point so much so that many Lions fans, and it looks like even players, had that look of worry and despair on their face, like, I can't believe we're about to lose to the Bears. And that's the situation you want to put yourself in if you are a Bears team and fan. Yet, time and time again, we find some egregious way to ruin him. Matt Eberflus has actually at this point made himself, and we've already said it, a career loser. He is a generational loser, and it shows even here. What do I mean? You saw the play like I saw the play. Caleb takes an egregious sack, cool. 30 seconds left, got it. But to sit there and not use your timeout, to sit there and not manage this game the way that you should be managed, to not sit there and be, I'm sorry, you have to be better at a certain point. You have to, as the coach, save your players. You have to save your rookie. Your rookie. You have to use your timeouts to give your team the opportunity to reset and get some other plays. I get it. He's given his take on why they didn't. The ideology from his standpoint was we were going to run a quick play. We want to save that timeout, get something off, just get it a little bit in Santos' field goal range, and then burn that timeout, set ourselves for a field goal, and live with that. I get it. But at a certain point, it became clear that the team didn't get the call, that call wasn't in, or the team wasn't set, and you have to use your resources to put your team in a better situation. You burn that timeout, you get something toward the sideline to get out of bounds, and you fight that way. You do not go out this bad. Yet that's what he did. At a certain point, it becomes like you almost have no choice but to break tradition if you're the Chicago Bears and fire him. You almost have no choice but to get rid of him. Like, if you were trying to stick with the tradition of not getting rid of a head coach and you want to make excuses and things of that nature, you could argue that the Bears fighting back against this team and the defense holding them to only 23 points when they've been moonwalking a lot of people is a reason to keep Eberflus around at least until the end of the season. You could argue that if you were pro Eberflus. But to lose 6 games the way that we've lost them, to actually lose the last 3 in the way we lost, to lose 2 to lose this game and the Green Bay game and the Commanders game, all same season, by the way. By the way, we lost the last 3 games by a total of 7 points. To lose that many close games, and many of them be due to questionable decisions on your head coach's part, you can't, the jokes write themselves, you can't make any excuses for it. You can't make any excuses for it. Even for those who want to sit there and go, well, the players have to perform, the players have to play, and certain things like that. that still comes down to some way, shape, or form coaching in the culture that you've developed within your locker room and that you have within your team. And Eberflus has developed a culture of suck so bad that we are literally ourselves turned into a generational loser. We are not playing good football in the late game because of the decision making being done there. And it's not fair to sit there and just solely put that on players when head coaches have to coach. When your head coach doesn't coach, you find yourself in situations where you have blunders like the ones we've been having. When you don't have accountability, you find yourselves having blunders like the ones we've been having. All of that is developed by your coach and the culture he sets. That's why he's there. It's why he's there. And ultimately, if this is not the straw that breaks the camel's back, then it definitely is the straw, or it definitely is that one moment where the fans in themselves are no longer going to blame Eberflus for being a generational loser that he is, because he's shown you who he is. But it's definitely going to be the deciding factor on how people view Ryan Poles and his indecision on getting rid of someone who's clearly shown himself to be a cancer and not able to actually lead this team the way they need to. You take this back to the quotes that Ryan Poles had to say in regards to Eberflus, and you come up with two things. Ryan Poles said he kept Eberflus for his stability and the way that he was able to coach through those hard times and keeping people together. Guess what, Brian? That was last year, and guess what ain't happened this year? Say it with me now. At a certain point, you have to pull the plug. At a certain point, tradition be darned, you have to do what's best for the team. And guess what? Since everyone is under the impression that he is not going to be the head coach moving forward, you cut bait now. You allow some of these assistants to step up, because it definitely is the next man up, and you determine whether or not one of these individuals who do have relationships with some of these players and do know these players and seem to be moving in the right direction can get them over the hump, because this guy ain't it. There's no way he makes it back to Chicago. There's no way that he makes it to the San Fran game. There's no way he makes it to the San Fran game if you're serious about being a world-class organization that is built on, that's determined to win. Because doing so would not be showing the fan base that you are determined to win. Just keeping him around even to next week, 10 days from now, will be showing that you are committed to doing the same old, despite all the good that's happened here. Ryan Poles making the decision for Caleb, great move. Some of these other moves, great moves. We get it. Built the team a little backwards, but hey, Caleb is showing himself to be competent when he has a good offensive coordinator, which Shane Waldron was the guy y'all went with out of all people. Wasn't none of these picks. I don't know who hired Shane. Don't frankly care. It falls under head coaching and GM. Someone made the decision, and someone had to approve that decision to say, this is the guy we're going to go with. In a corporate situation, both guys get fired if it goes egregious. There's no saving grace there. And guess what? Just because you've done good in some areas, I'm not sitting here going to and believe that Ryan Poles has his position so on lock that he can sit there and get SQ'd like picking a punter in the fourth round again. You can't do that. I'm using that as an analogy, not to actually talk about the thing. I know someone's going to say something about it, but still, you get me. Like, keeping Eberflus around will be getting cute. You don't have time for that, my boy. You don't. You've made big bets on Caleb. You're tied to this quarterback. You have to make it work. You also have to show this fan base you're committed to success. Keeping him is not committed to success. You can't say success and generational loser in the same sentence and it makes sense. Unless you're saying to succeed, we need to get rid of the generational loser. It's the only way it makes sense. But I digress. Ultimately, the fan base in itself feels exactly like how I feel. Regardless of what has been on the field, things of that nature, it boils down to a couple things. Yes, players do have to play. But a culture has to be developed. People have to hold those people accountable. That's why your coaches are there. If they're bad, your team runs amok. We've seen that. How you execute in late games also comes down to coaching. How well prepared your team is. Guess what? We haven't seen that this year. How you manage a game or how a game is managed comes down to coaching, to a variety of coaches. We haven't seen that consistently this year. And we have not seen it consistently at any point in time in Matt Eberflus's tenure. Let me tell you something. Matt Eberflus in this season alone has 3 fireable offenses from how his team looked, and he's still here. This man has more lives than cats out here. It's impossible for you to sit here and justify it. It has to go, or the fan base will start to look at Ryan Poles. This was it. This he can't do it. You can't rhyme and reason this away anymore. It is beyond salvageable. You have to make the move now. You definitively know you do not have a chance in the playoffs. The likelihood of all the chips falling in the right place for us to make it are astronomical. And even if those odds were in our favor, based off Matt Eberflus's success, when we have a 95% chance to win a game, he'd mess that up too. Cut bait. Do what you have to do. Start building the culture right. Because keeping with this, you're going to lose your locker room. You're going to lose your fan base. You're going to start tarnishing your legacy and reputation in Chicago. We're going to remember Ryan Poles as the GM who just couldn't get out his own way, despite all the good he can do. And guess what? Let's not act like there aren't teams out here who are willing to make those moves. Yeah, guess what? There's another dumpster fire of a team called the New York Jets who fired their GM, and he actually got them some world-class talent. He went out there and got them some really good talent. The players didn't play. The head coaches didn't play. Guess what? The head coach, even the head coach has a reason to sit there and argue for his position. Guess what? Both of those guys are gone. And you can make a stronger case for that head coach and that GM in that trash organization than you could about this one. At least from the head coaching position, you definitely could. GM, that's debatable, obviously. But still, sticking with the head coach that has that type of record, you put yourself in that line of fire, and you can't do it. This was it. If this was not it for Ryan Poles, it definitely is it for the fans, and it definitely looks like it's it for the team. And ultimately, that's going to tarnish his legacy if he sticks with it. I want to hear your thoughts. Whether it's love, whether it's hate, put it in the chat. Let me know how you feel. Was this it? Was this finally the game that did it for us? Was this finally the straw that broke the camel's back and getting up out of here? Again, put it in the chat. I'll be in there with you. Till next time. Peace.